That exhaust is ugly. It is welded together just to test this rig for stock when we go drag racing, but I would like to be able to run a custom-made exhaust. And I like to upset the internet, and I like to be scientific about it. So, let's upset the internet a little bit, shall we? EMT conduit is 21.5 to 22 millimeter, depending on who was running the machine that day. We figured out last year, running stock all the way to a Mod 2 cam, that a 22 millimeter Amazon pipe was basically where it maxed out on a stock head. Now, granted, we did find a little bit of gain once we ported the head, and we ended up having to switch to a 25 millimeter dump pipe. But right now, we're talking make it sound better. And since we have a microphone that is working now, let's try to make it sound better. Alright, so you have taken your flange, you've sliced it off of there, you find out that this is a horrifying 18.5, sometimes 19, and so you grab a burr bit and you hollow that out, and now you can get it onto your piece of EMT conduit. Now, let's say you didn't want to do that. You could go on OMB Warehouse and order these for about $2 a piece. They used to list them at $5 a piece, and then pay $10 shipping in order to get them to your door. Or you can use the link I put in the description down below and order a 3-pack off of Amazon, shipped directly to your door in 2 days. Your pick, whichever one you prefer. I did listen to all of you. You all said that you would prefer to see me use a regular EMT pipe bender on these projects instead of my expensive VEVOR pipe bender. I tried. For 20 bucks, I got an EMT pipe bender that China screwed me over on, and it doesn't fit. Apparently, the listing very cleverly says half-inch EMT pipe bending and bending 3/4 inch OD pipe, whereas EMT conduit on the OD is usually 7/8 and doesn't fit. Alright, with that said, I think what we should do is I think we should go for the idea of under the seat just barely. That's what I'm kind of game for. I think we should try and put a bend that comes up as sharp as possible to miss the seat and comes out from under this direction if possible. Maybe we'll even kick it to see if we can match this in the frame, depending on how creative we really get. And if we have to, we can always come out and around into here and dump it out through. I have made sure my leg does not seem to hit in this location, so I think that is doable if need be. But let's bend up some pipe, see what we can do. Pipe bending on one of these is a little counterintuitive because 90 doesn't actually give you a 90. You actually have to go about an inch past 90 to get 90. And we actually need to be a little bit more than 90 to get under the seat. So I'm going to pull into this area here. We'll see how that looks. Now remember, from here over, that's sacrificial. Alright, so we want a little bit past 90 and have the sacrificial piece. I'm okay with that. So right here, this is sacrificial. It can get cut right into here before there's any crimping going on. This is why you want extra and why it's nice to use dumpster pipe. I think we're going to try and cut this off right here. As it is right now, if I cut that off and I brought it out, I could easily run it down the side of the bike. And there's plenty of extra there for me to bend another piece and try. So let's see if we can get it inside the frame just for the giggles of it first. Remember how I said I like using junk EMT conduit I find in a dumpster because then I can screw up? I didn't think about the idea of that stud. So I could convert this over to a couple of Allen head bolts. I could rip those studs out, but that would suck. Kind of defeats the purpose of this video. Alright, so let's drop that out. So I went back out, we did our slightly over bent 90 degree, we sliced off another end because that's sacrificial. So we're 6 cuts into this at this point on our junk piece of EMT. Now, that pops right into there quite nicely. I am thinking that we set it up to go, I don't know, right about there, and we put a bend right here that lines it up with the rear. I think that would cosmetically look nice. Also, already ground off the galvanizing, and we have a nice open work area, and I'm not allergic to milk. If you're working on something that has a valve train that sticks up, do not weld your flange while it is on the engine. It's just a bad idea. Tack weld it, pull it off, and do your finish welds. Everybody has their own pipe bender method. Here's mine. I mark the center of where it's going to lay into my bender. I mark about 1.5 inches forward from where I want the bend to start. So if I want the bend to start here, I mark it to here, and that's where I put the clamp on my bender. I then mark down through to about where I think that I want it to end. I'm trying to match the curve of the bike seat. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to bend from here to about halfway first and come see how it fits. As you can see, that spine does not line up with anything. That's why I do this along with where I want it to bend. So we're going to slide it in and watch this line and line it up with the center of the bender right there. And now I'm going to pull this to snug it in, and as you can see, it goes quite a ways before it actually starts to do anything. I can see that's turning, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to rotate it a little bit. I think we're slightly into the first bend. Let's try that. Yeah, it still tried to turn on that. Let's push this down and give it some love. There it goes. That looks pretty good. We can always reload and bend it again. Come on. Here we go. Yeah, so I was off by a little bit. I should have gone 2 inches for where I wanted the bend, but then I would have been too far into here. You can actually see the bend started in there. That is looking really good. We've got about a finger width here. We're about, probably 1/4 inch to 3/8 right there. I need to weld up the flange. But on engine tuning now, we're opening up the exhaust, which means the carburetor is going to need to be changed. There is a good chance that you're going to need either an upgraded idle jet along with a main jet, or you need to be running a tunable idle jet carburetor and still have to upgrade your main jet. I'll post links down below on things you might need. But I'm going to get this welded up and we'll see what this sounds like. More choke. Go figure. It doesn't want to run because now it can breathe and it wants a bigger jet in the carburetor. I'm going to see if I can sit here and hold the choke at just the right setting so that we can get some RPM out of it. Then later on we'll throw a jet in. That is a very unique sounding exhaust compared to everything else I've had on mini bikes. I like it. Needs a bigger jet, and it actually idled up perfectly fine. So I'm pretty sure we just need to undo the idle screw a little bit in the HIPAA carburetor. Otherwise than that, thank you for watching this video, and support us over on RCG Racing when at some point we're going to put this on the bike and go down the drag strip.